Good afternoon, my conscious co-creators. Welcome to another edition of the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I am very, very pleased that you are all here with me today. We've got another fascinating show in store for you with an interesting guest, who I'll bring on in just a moment. But first, of course, we have my blog post. So today's blog post is entitled "No choice is a mistake if we are open to learn the lesson." Sometimes we start off with an idea. We think that we know what we want to do. Steps are taken in that direction and movement begins. Things may start to go well, and then we begin to wonder. Then we start to question ourselves about the choices we made. The second guessing and the misgivings start to emerge. Our self-confidence might start to waver, and we may begin to doubt ourselves. And now we come to a choice point in our lives. Do we continue forward on our path, or do we switch it up? Excuse me. Can we now make a different decision when we are in the middle of the process? It can be quite normal to have doubts. Being human means we are not always certain about the path we choose. Yet how do we judge whether we are on the right path, or if this new direction is the right way to go? It is true that sometimes we are just looking for an excuse to not commit ourselves to our current path. We can also be pulled in a new direction because now that we have more information, our current path just doesn't feel as good as it once did. If we are to move forward, it is up to us to decide which direction is right for us. Sometimes we make that decision from our mind, and other times we make that decision from our heart. Depending on where we are in our lives and how grounded we are in our heart or our mind will determine where the decision is made. Perhaps either choice is the right one. Could it be that no matter which direction we decide to go, we will ultimately learn something valuable? For if we decide to switch directions and it does not end up the way we would like, does that not give us more information? And if we stay the course and keep going in spite of our intuition or feelings, isn't that a wonderful thing to recognize? Yet sometimes we want to change for all the wrong reasons. Conversely, sometimes we are afraid to change course for the wrong reasons as well. In the end, it really comes down to how open we are to what life will bring us next. As long as we keep an open mind and learn from each decision, we never truly make a wrong decision. Perhaps things do not happen in the manner we would like. Maybe it takes longer to get where we want to be. And still, we can be learning valuable lessons in spite of everything. For we are human. Humans sometimes make mistakes. And that's okay, because that is how we learn. So do you feel you've made any mistakes lately? What have you learned from those wonderful mistakes? So I wrote this blog post a couple of years ago. I think when I was having some misgivings about choices I had made in the past, about choices I had made to, stay with a mentor who I probably shouldn't have stayed with as long as I did, to change courses and directions with different things, to take on new projects that didn't turn out well or didn't really come to fruition. And I was kind of like a little bit down on myself of like, "Oh, why did I make that choice? Oh, why did I do that? Why did I get involved in that thing?" And and I think what got me to sort of turn the corner with that self-doubt was realizing that even if some of those mistakes were pretty costly mistakes, they were actually very, very valuable lessons. And maybe even some of them prevented me from making an even bigger mistake in the future. Before I got involved with the radio station and the wellness center, I was involved in real estate, and I got in at just the wrong time and got out at just the wrong time. And I really lost a ton of money from that venture. And when the financial crisis hit, it really hurt. It hurt a lot. And I learned I'm totally not built to swim with the sharks. I'm not built for real estate in New York City. And it really helped me to see that I was doing things for the wrong reasons in some respect, but by making those choices, it brought out to me why I was making those choices, why it was the wrong decision, and what I really needed to do to find my path forward. And so I could look at that as like the biggest mistake in my life because it's the most money I've ever lost in anything at any time. Or I can look at it at one of the best learning lessons I've ever had because now I know I can't do something just to make money. I can't do something out of greed. I can't do something, you know, if there's no, if there's nothing deeper in my heart pulling me forward with it. And once I took over the radio station and the wellness center and I started really working on this stuff full time and threw myself fully into it, I realized this is so much better for me. Like these are the kinds of people I want to work with, that like you don't have to work with assholes every day. I mean, I know those of you who have a corporate job, you may be saying to me, Sam, you don't understand. My office is full with assholes. I have to work with them every single day. Yeah, maybe one day you can find the courage to leave that job and find another job or start your own business or do something different. But just what I learned for myself was, I'm not a normal person. I am not cut out to be in your typical 9 to 5, dog eat dog, you know, worry about your boss stepping on your head type of person. I need to be working with people who are supportive. I need to be working with people who have a vision, who have a heart, who are open-minded, who really believe in doing something just because it's the right thing to do. And that's a very valuable lesson. Do I wish it didn't cost me as much money as it did, getting involved with it? Yeah, absolutely. But, sometimes we're a little thick-headed. Sometimes, the universe has really got to take a giant 2x4 and whack us over the side of the head for us to learn our lessons. Hopefully, that doesn't happen too many times in our life. Hopefully, once is enough to really get us to wake up and move us in the right direction. But, we're human. We make mistakes. And just because we made mistakes does not mean we're not good at what we do, does not mean we're not smart, does not mean we're not worthy, does not mean all those negative things that voice in the back of our head tells ourselves because things didn't turn out the way we expected. It was just a learning lesson. It's how we learn. Someone once said to me, if a little baby that was learning to walk, the first time it fell down, said, "Oh my God, I'm so awful at walking. I'll never be able to walk. This is horrible. I can't believe I just did that." If that's the way we were as little children, we would never learn to walk. Mistakes is how we learn and grow. The key is to pay attention and to actually learn from our mistakes and not just experience them and go, oh, see, there's another reason why I'm an idiot. That doesn't help anybody, and that especially doesn't help us. So, my invitation for this week would be to pay attention to how do you talk to yourself about your mistakes? Can you shift your perspective around your mistakes and make them more something that's a learning lesson rather than something that's a condemnation of yourself? To see if you can even move the needle a little bit in that direction, and to see if you can feel just a little bit better about yourself by understanding that all the mistakes you've made in your life have been nothing but a lesson to learn. So that's my blog for this week. The title of that blog, again, is No Choice is a Mistake if we are open to learn the lesson. And of course, you can find my blogs always at talkradio.nyc/blog and on my personally branded website, theconsciousconsultant.com. And let me know how you like it. And if you like these, I do have a book that has a whole bunch of these wonderful short bite-sized thoughts that I share with you called Everyday Awakening. You can get it at any major bookseller. Check it out. You might enjoy it. All right. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show founder, mechanical engineer, and technopreneur Nicholas Ledbetter. From an early age, Nicholas had dreams of becoming an inventor or video game designer. His love for science and an unconventional, out-of-the-box approach, fueled by his ADHD, led him to pursue mechanical engineering. Upon graduation, Nicholas realized that his true calling wasn't just inventing new technologies, but solving global challenges through innovation and entrepreneurship. His pursuit for answers pushed him to earn a master's in science and in innovation and venture development, where he honed his skills in lean development, servant leadership, and startup scaling. Nicholas's journey has been one of overcoming entrepreneurial challenges, finding solutions, and creating a service company that bridges gaps in innovation and drives sustainable technologies. Today, he is the co-founder and visionary behind Ledbetter Innovative Technologies, a company focused on addressing key global issues, ranging from energy, water, and food sustainability to housing and mental health through cutting-edge technology and strategic partnerships. His holistic vision combines Taoist philosophy, which has deeply influenced his entrepreneurial journey, with disruptive technology to foster a brighter, sustainable future for all. Welcome to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Nicholas.
Thank you for having me, Sam. I'm excited to share my journey and my insights, and I believe I've applied a lot of what today's blog post was about in my own journey. It's definitely been, you keep the strong vision and you keep driving, and you have to pivot. You're going to run into walls, and definitely, how you react when you run into a wall really determines your success in an entrepreneurial path. If you don't have that self-reflection and that ability to pivot or slow down or ask for directions, you might just keep running into the same wall.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say was the first big wall that you hit in your life that made you say, I got to do something different?
So I graduated mechanical engineering, and had my son, and I was raising him, and I had an idea for an energy invention, and really was trying to sell and scale my idea. Really found out that to really make any money or get involved in your invention, you almost have to start a company first and then sell the company,
Mhm.
not the invention.
Wow.
So then it led me to go back for my Master's of Science in Innovation and Venture Development, where it was ASU's first incubator program, and we were all doing startups. So, I wasn't doing it alone.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's important to feel like in a way you're not the only one, and
Yeah.
that there are other people in the same boat with you as well. It really helps to give a sense of like, okay, I'm not such a lunatic. There are other lunatics out there I can lean on.
No, I wasn't the craziest startup. I walked in with drawings on a notebook saying I can solve renewable energy, but I was not the craziest startup.
Cool, cool. All right, I want to hear about what the craziest startup was. But first, we're going to take our first break. And so when we come back, let's talk a little bit about like what got you focused on the sustainability side of engineering and technology, and what really kind of drives your vision for what you want to achieve. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Wonderful. So everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We do this every Thursday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on talkradio.nyc and all over social media. And we will be right back with our guest, Nicholas Ledbetter, in just a moment.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
If you don't have your health, what do you really have? It's time to feel good in your body and shift from struggle to ease. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul, where we explore the sacred wisdom of your body while you sit back, relax, and go on a journey of self-discovery. Join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to awaken your heart, transform your well-being, and unlock a deeper understanding of yourself.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We're speaking this hour with Nicholas Ledbetter, founder of Ledbetter Innovative Technologies. So Nicholas, I just got to ask real quick, since you said you weren't the craziest startup, what was the craziest startup that you saw in that
So my two real ones jump out. One was my co-founder. He had an idea for an awesome kind of exosuit that was much more thin. He had no idea how to accomplish it, but he had lots of thoughts about it and was researching good technologies on it. The other one was a laser zapping mosquito turret. And that guy was really interesting. He was kind of like the grandpa of our cohort because he was already established. He's run companies and stuff, and he was just here to learn how to do a technology company. So it was really interesting. We also had people doing bakeries and stuff, so it was all full range.
Oh. So what got you? And so you said your startup was around solving the renewable energy problem. What got you interested in renewable energy?
So it was really through my engineering. Both my parents. My mom's a pilot. My dad's a pilot. My dad used to be a mechanic before that. I was kind of around planes and cars growing up. Also was a bit of a video game fanatic, so really liked robots and anime and stuff. So it kind of led me to pursue a mechatronics degree at ASU.
Okay.
Um, and I ended up, they really pushed sustainability and number one in innovation. Ended up coming up with a water filter technology in like my sophomore year, and then we designed a satellite capturing turret for debunked space debris for the Air Force Research Labs for my capstone. And then,
Oh.
really energy was a pivot because one of my last classes was automotive engineering and thermal engineering, and just had a lot of it in my head and had a unique thought and kept iterating on it and developing it, and probably overdeveloped it into a bunch of other ideas and inventions. And then ironically, when I was in the program and I was really pushing for energy, realized it's a much more interconnected problem is sustainability as a whole, and got involved with a housing technology that grows plants, fish, and mushrooms and creates sustainable living, and ran that company for a while. So we pivoted to a whole other area. And then when we pivoted to a service company, it just kept getting us involved with different technologies and areas to where, it kept having to learn and adapt and figure out how these things could interact or integrate together to create bigger social impacts together.
Cool, cool. Do you think you'll ever go back to that renewable energy idea?
Definitely.
Okay.
Actually, in our model, we really are a bridge for innovation and an ideation engine. And the bridge model is very much building the connections and the collaborations and getting these ideas to impact and to the communities. But the ideation engine is going to be when we just got a patent partnership.
Oh,
He's going to review my stuff, and then we're going to toss it through my R&D partners, and we're going to be able to do this with some more ideas and kind of generate it rapidly. And the goal is to try to scale to the point where we get our own R&D park and kind of can rapidly develop these ideas and test them in our own environment.
cool, cool. Now, I've had people on the show before talking about the challenges of developing more sustainable ways of doing all kinds of different things, especially when there's, the systems and the environment is more geared towards profit, and when you're not worried about being sustainable, it's much easier to be profitable. What are some of the challenges you've seen whether it's with housing or energy or anything, with creating something that's more sustainable? Like, is it more just getting it adapted? Is it
So
competition?
it's a couple things. Competition's a big one because people have contracts up and there's supply chains up, and it costs money to change those things, and it changes relationships. I'd say a bigger point is disruptive technologies are hard to explain and to understand how they are better and what it really means on a larger scale. You usually lose people on just even the technology at a basic level, and you have to do a large education lift. But there's also certain industries that just don't even want these things to exist because they are the solution leader. And there's some resistance that way. But definitely, I'd say there's really a gap in innovation, but after you have the ideas and you validate it a little bit, to doing the market fit, finding the community that needs it, and then the scaling operations and commercialization. And there's new companies popping up like us and others that are trying to fill that gap. But it definitely exists between university and industry. They're still working on. And that's why we're seeing more entrepreneurship ecosystems pop up out of universities, and new programs emerge to try to push the business side of things, and create new opportunities for that cross collaboration with the community or industry.
Right, right. I know you said like you lose people on the technology trying to explain it, but are people relatively open to the idea of just doing something more sustainably, or do people just not want to hear it?
It depends. It really it has to do with how you talk about it. AI and some of the bigger techs, it scares people when you first say it. Like the word waste to energy people like the idea. But when you say plasma gasification, even though that's a good thing, that's a big scary science word, and there's an education lift to it. And then when you say, near net zero or low emissions, they still associate that with emissions. They really don't know the nuances. And there's a lift in education towards that. And then when you're talking about new technologies, you're not talking about the giants. So there's a whole new brand association and that's the word I'm looking for. Trust that you really need to establish with it. Because, when you're talking about solving community issues and real people's problems, you can't implement the wrong technologies. And there's definitely a lot of people that, they have ideas and solutions, but there's also communities and stuff that have been hurt from those things being pushed out inappropriately.
Right.
That's the other resistance is, you always have to do these science studies behind it. And it takes another, year to 5 years sometimes, even though you can solve the problem, to say, not only can we solve the problem, but it's not going to do unintentional damage to the community either.
Right. It's funny you mentioned gasification, because back when I was in my real estate days, I used to go to a green energy roundtable where people would present new technologies. And I mean, this was, 15, close to 20 years ago. And I remember people talking about gasification then, and how like you could take practically any waste and turn it into energy. And it amazes me that it hasn't been implemented. And at least, and maybe it has, and I just don't know about it, but at least on small scale, at least in a way that there's a proof of concept out there that you can point to and say, look, it does work. Here's an example.
No, they are out there. But like I said, it's a hard education lift when you talk about waste, when you talk about emissions, when you talk about fuels and energy, to where, our plants, the company, it has 60-year track record. They have a scale version already up. We're signing up to do multiple plants, but there are gasification plants already out there, but not all of them are net zero. Not all of them do the emissions piece, and that's why some of these plants really messed up. They're not handling the trash, and so there's a slower adoption rate and kind of a proof that you really need to step it up. I am with you though. I'm amazed that we're still planning for, I think it was something like 6 or 15 landfills on Hawaii still. And it's because they did a gasification plant, but it didn't perform. And now they're having problems getting other technologies in to solve the issue. So they're just going to keep going with what's been tested, what we've been doing for the last 20 years, which is fills and doing waste management that way. It's it's a lot of people to retrain too.
Yeah. One of the things I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is it's hard to find good people, attract and keep good people. How do you attract people to work with you and work for you at LIT, to keep them around? Because it's right now there's so many choices, people can go so many different directions. How do you find attracting talent?
So kind of, I found out it was one of my ninja skills during the program. My personality type, I fluctuate between innovator and campaigner. So I'm really good at getting a group together and motivated. Definitely my engineering helps with project management and collaboration a bit. But, really it's sharing my passion about solving these big problems, and then sharing, giving a bit of hope or spark towards, these technologies people didn't even know existed, and that they can solve problems, and we can combine them together, create more resiliency, and really look at I'm looking at the issue differently. And I think that's kind of refreshing for a lot of people. Companies are looking to collaborate, but they're scared to. They're always protecting their IP, and they always need to, they always do it as a service at the start. Meanwhile, I always usually try to find what's the common collaboration lane potentially? How can we remove friction points? Can we take the blinders off? Do we see the same thing? And I try to set up the conversation to where we really add value to each other and do it more as a partnership and work it through that side. So I think, it's sharing my passion and establishing the lean partnerships, and then maintaining the collaborations. Really, and I keep getting referrals from my partners. So I'm not even growing it all the time. I'm like, you got to talk to this guy. Okay, let's find a time.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, it's time for us to take our next break. When we come back, let's talk about what you're working on now that really has you juiced and lit up, and yeah, what we can expect from LIT. All right.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Wonderful. So everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We're speaking this hour with my guest, Nicholas Ledbetter, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
If you don't have your health, what do you really have? It's time to feel good in your body and shift from struggle to ease. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul, where we explore the sacred wisdom of your body while you sit back, relax, and go on a journey of self-discovery. Join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to awaken your heart, transform your well-being, and unlock a deeper understanding of yourself.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
So Nicholas, you've mentioned a lot of different things, everything from energy to housing and sustainability. What are you working on these days that's got you really excited?
Yeah, so we have the waste to energy plant as really kind of the big technology we're trying to stand up, but we have plans to implement the other technologies to create workforce development and R&D in agriculture. We've got microbes and some charged biochar that we believe we can bioremediate some tough to bioremediate things like PFAS, heavy metals, pesticides, and create healthier soils and use the byproducts from the waste to energy to really create a large scale movement and resiliency and kind of connect these different parks and communities. And on top of just solving the waste issue, we could really kind of start our own community network and working with a lot of different partners to get that dream done. But, you know, we're also working with our native partners here in Arizona to bring it home, have it native owned possibly. That would be fantastic. And specifically, we're doing here in Arizona, we're doing a clinic that'll combine the integrated medicine, the spiritual medicine, modern medicine, the counseling and spa services and wellness treatments into one holistic clinic in Scottsdale. And have a current nursery that we'll be building the agritech lab off of. So we can start the ag and start proving out the science and while serving more nutritious food at our clinic. And then kind of the most exciting thing that I'm directly leading is the hubs, which is our online platform that's really going to empower the different startups and businesses and help entrepreneurs in general, but also showcase our innovation and sustainability impact efforts and initiatives, as well as the collaborations, and then connect the the movement that we're doing with our native partners. They get their own hub where they get to introduce the medicines, and we get to help promote and fund that and scale to provide healing to more tribes. And it's
Wow.
not just the tribes because of the mobile clinic. We can provide healing to anyone.
Nice, nice. Wow. So that's quite a disparate group of things you're working on. I want to go.
It's three, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. But very different kinds of things. I just
Yeah.
want to go back to the remediation thing for a little bit because I know a teeny bit about it, having been in real estate before. So when you're talking about remediating stuff, you're talking about like if there used to be a gas station someplace and there's a lot of oil and gasoline in the soil and stuff, you can't just turn around and build a school on top of it. You have to do something to clean it up. I imagine like they must be looking for technologies for that all the time. Is that a difficult technology to deploy? Is that a difficult one to convince people of?
Yeah, there's a lot of, when you're dealing with soils, especially native soils, you got to be careful what you put in there. They only want things that are native to the soil, and
Right.
they only want green solutions. That's what we try to focus on,
Mm-hmm.
and really specialize in. But what you're finding out is they're not doing enough testing and regulation on this stuff. PFAS was just found out really big last year. They lost a lot,
Yeah.
and test it. You're going to see in the next couple years, if it keeps going this way, that they're going to start shutting down farms, because we know for a fact almost every farm and golf course is contaminated with heavy amounts of PFAS from fertilizers and
Oh.
pesticides.
Ah.
And so what we're trying to do is offer alternatives to fertilizers and pesticides with green products as we're bioremediating, and really prove it out on some test examples, and then scale out through the community and really go from there. There are some companies that are doing some large scale amazing work, and we'd love to partner with them. And we're not looking to build everything to get
Mhm.
this done. It's really growing it and finding the right partners to scale to multiple communities. There's enough. You can always make the pie bigger.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah,
solve the whole
absolutely.
problem.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, you mentioned about, with the health clinic of working with the Native Americans, the indigenous tribes. How did that focus come about? How did that connection come about for you?
Actually, the Unicorn Universe and Million Dollar Mingle. I
Mhm.
went to one of the events, and Michael, who Juan
Michael
was a
Gray.
friend of his.
Yeah.
Met him that night. They got kicked out because of some racism, and then I
Mhm.
met them at the end of the night, and we stayed out till like 4 in the morning. Got pretty solid with them, and have been working with them to try to do the nursery and implement our technologies to solve some of the big native problems. And then
Mhm.
I got invited on to work with Spirit Nations directly and the health
Oh.
and wellness to help them, integrate some of the technologies, even on a software and marketing side,
Hmm.
with the hubs to help them promote and manage and collaborate, and really
Yeah.
add some business tools. And um,
I- I-
Kano is he's a dear friend. He's a he's a rock star. He's a innovator. He's a trained nurse, and
Wow.
he's also a fellow One Piece fan. So we both bonded
Wow.
over pirates and big dreams, and kind of solving big problems as pirates.
Oh, you mean the anime One Piece? Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. He's a huge One Piece fan.
got it, got it, got it.
So am I.
Yes, I watched. I knew of it, but I didn't really watch it until Netflix came out with the live action version. So I had fun with the live action version. I'm curious. You don't often think of things like mental health, like coming up with stuff for that from someone who is really an engineering and technology background. Was it difficult to kind of convince them that like you can offer a solution that'll really work from them, having come from just a technology perspective?
Uh, Not really, because I really, it was the Masters in Innovation and Venture Development in my
Mm,
own company that kind of leveraged me in there. I can do lean work with them and connect them to opportunities and collaborations, and we're able to enhance their medicines with our ag products, and do some.
mm,
There was some collaborative lanes to kind of that
mhm,
we grew into,
mhm,
and then it was really just I was helping him really push some of these things and get them going for funding. And, I just got, creating the business docs gets you part of the team.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's like having gone through all the stuff you had to go through for your own company kind of help you with.
I've done way too much free work for a company. But it's not free work if you're part of the deal and the partnership. And when it's successful, you're getting a big chunk because you bled into the pot. Everyone bootstraps a lot, but how do you navigate that line between bootstrapping too hard and doing stuff as a service while still trying to, do it as a collaboration or a lean partnership? It is you got to choose sometimes.
Yeah. One of the things that's often a big challenge for entrepreneurs and people in the startup world is finding a way to balance or to integrate the different parts of your life together. Because you can spend like all day and all night working, but like you said, you have a son, you have a family. How do you find the way to integrate these different aspects of your life so that you're not, an MIA father?
Yeah. So I sometimes get in the zone where I'll be working like straight focused for hours, but normally, 15-20 minutes, I need to get up and do something, or I need to walk around and do it. There's a technique called the Pomodoro method. And when I'm feeling really stressed out or there's too much to do, I apply them and try to break it into sub bullets. But I have so many chat bots that are helping me out with the business. And a lot of them are trained on individual ideas. Some of them are trained on the whole idea together. And then I've got an AI tech assistant bot that, it's really funny. I gave him the personality of the dude from the Big Lebowski, but he's got the business assets and all the skills that a assistant or an executive would have. And he helps me track the things and organize my schedule sometimes.
Wow. Very
And that
cool.
way, if I drop something in a moment, I know right where it was, and I've got notes and a bot to quickly iterate on it and solve it. It's I'm getting really good at rapidly producing documents.
Wow. So with the like proliferation of these new AI tools, are you finding that they're able to enable you to be more productive and more effective in the things that you're doing?
Absolutely. I'm for one example, my co-founder, he doesn't have the engineering background I got, but he has a science background and a future society background, and he's also, an anime and comic book nerd like I am, but he has some really fantastic ideas that he can't validate as a technical concept or iterate. He can work with some of our bots that are technically trained to actually iterate them into potential real things to go research and ask engineers and solidify the ideas. And I'm able to use the bots to, quickly research into specific areas, problems, and find out what's really happening. And then instead of hours and hours of research, it's 15 minutes and you can get hours and hours of research from the bot.
Wow. I know in the more creative side of AI with content development stuff, people always say you got to be careful. You got to look for the hallucinations. You got to always verify, what you get from a bot. But when you're dealing with very technical stuff like this, are the bots more accurate? Are they less prone to hallucination?
No, you actually have to spend extra time training them on how to not hallucinate and yelling at them if you do catch them, like, don't do that anymore. Like, only pull from these facts, please, or always quote and show me the quote so I can verify what because sometimes they will come up with a fake article quote and they'll even throw in a fake hyperlink and then you click it and it doesn't work. And it's like, you got to train the bot to say, no, do not do that to me.
Wow. Cool. Awesome. So we're going to take our last break of the show. When we come back, I would like to pull out your crystal ball and let's prognosticate a little bit about the future for Ledbetter Innovative Technologies and just the future for the world in general, and where you see things going, being that you're so much on the bleeding edge of technology. Okay.
Yeah, no, sounds awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful. So everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. My guest this hour has been Nicholas Ledbetter, founder, technopreneur of the Ledbetter Innovative Technologies, and we'll be right back to finish it all up in just a moment.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
So, Nicholas, you work with like really leading edge, bleeding edge stuff that most people in the public have never even heard of. So you probably have a little bit of an idea of sort of what's coming down the road, like what's going to get popularized and integrated into the general public, probably better than some people. What do you see coming down in terms of like advances in technology? And let's just say, like, I wouldn't even go past 5 years, because I think after 5 years, it's all a crapshoot. But just in the next, year to 5 years, what do you think is really going to shift and change with everything in terms of technology?
So I think AI is going to get to be ever present in a lot of life by 5 years. We're going to also start seeing VR and AR in everyday life. People are going to have their glasses on. They're going to be on their phones without you realizing it. They're going to be scanning you, knowing who you are because of social filters, potentially. And that's some really stuff to kind of worry about. But overall, I think education's going to open up. More mental health tools and individualized tools are going to open up. And we're going to see a boom in creativity and the potential for people to create and manage. And then we're also going to see a decline of some older technologies and there's going to be a lot of resistance from the industries. There's going to be some technologies to try to keep them going, but we're going to see some general shifts away from, oil and gas, closer to biofuels, electric energy, graphene batteries I see being a big thing in 5 years, and greener batteries than lithium. I know lithium, that's an answer for a lot of people, but I know they're struggling to keep up on recycling. Same with solar panels. So I think we'll see a rise of other alternative energies now that everyone's kind of, solar for a while had a stigma to it and still somewhat carries it. I think we'll see that kind of fade away, but also people will stop being interested in solar as much, and they'll want to look at other technologies. And then, I think we'll see even educations in schools. Kind of the biggest thing I see is there's going to be, a lot of the way we collaborate and build together is going to drastically change, and the way that startups form. And
Okay.
I think that's going to open up with the blockchain. You could run a company across the world
Yeah.
with teammates around the world, and you can all get paid through the blockchain, and make it community owned through a DAO coin. That's it hasn't been done successfully. There's been a few successful DAO coins, but a lot of this stuff, it's been it was fatty, so it got misused. Well, I think we'll find out the proper use for a couple of these things, and they'll really emerge onto the market. And then I really hope the mental health space, I think you hope this too, that I think there will be more AI tools towards privacy and kind of what we take in as well. Right now there's no filter. You're the filter.
Yeah.
If you're not turning off the screen, you're not adjusting their ad content.
Right. A lot of people in the sustainability movement are really concerned about the environment and what's happening. I see scientific reports being published almost daily now about how things are actually getting worse faster than have been predicted for years. Are you pessimistic or optimistic about the future that we'll find a solution through this challenge?
I'm optimistic of us finding solutions and trying to solve it. I'm realistic that it's going to take a lot of the people to adopt these solutions and get excited and get behind it and really scale it as the solution, not just a solution. I think a lot of people want to stick to the status quo. And I think some people won't change till it's affecting their daily life. But I do think some of the things that the causes for why we're seeing it accelerated, we could target those directly, like the melting caps, the Amazon rainforest, the forests in general, and really create a counter push. But it's going to require us to shift how we've been developing technologies for ourselves and start really developing for nature. And having enhancing natural cycles, and that's the other shift in technology I see is we'll start designing for nature more and in tune with nature and more biomimicry, because as people get overwhelmed with technology, we're almost going to need it just to feel familiar with the technology.
Right. Do you think there'll be a huge deployment of robots? Because I see a lot of stuff. I mean, Elon Musk is talking about it. A lot of companies are looking at replacing factory workers with robots and other things. And I know that has a lot of people concerned. Everyone almost daily, I see references to Terminator.
So we'll see new jobs. The robots are coming. I don't think they're going back, but I think we'll see new jobs to where it's more about maintaining and observing the robots, doing instructions and tasks, kind of how we saw pilots. They when they took the wheel away, they gave them a joystick and a computer. They didn't take the pilots away. They just kind of repurposed their role. And that'll definitely limit the amount of jobs and opportunity, but those will be higher paying jobs and opportunity. And then there's going to be a whole new wave of businesses coming out that are, you can run a bakery by yourself, but now you can have a robot bakery to where all you're doing is, you don't even have to interact with your customer if you don't want to. You can have it to where it comes out on a conveyor belt, and we're seeing some of this stuff in, even sushi restaurants here. Where they're delivering the rolls with, a robot, and it's a cool experience. I think if it's done well and with the intention not to remove humans completely and find new roles and just get rid of the bad jobs, replace the jobs and the labor that no one really wants to do. But there's always going to be a value for human interaction and that kind of, somebody's taking care of you more than just servicing you. A robot's not going to take care of you like a human could. And then kind of I really see it in the medical space. I think mental health bots and robots and medical aid bots are going to be huge because it's expensive for at-home care and individualized care, and it gets rid of a lot of their autonomy and freedom. They become codependent, and if we could, and those are weird ways that robots could be used. I know a lot of people are manufacturing is at risk, but at the same time, you can lose an arm while you're working a manufacturing job. So,
Right. Who wants that? We just got a couple of minutes left. If there's someone listening who is a burgeoning startup engineer type, what advice do you give to the younger generation? What advice do you give to the people who have ideas like you had ideas and they want to create new stuff, given today's environment on both the business and the technology side? What advice would you give those people?
I love your ideas, but they're like babies that you have to watch grow up. So you have to let them go, and they may not always be the right baby. You can always have another one, but really understand where your vision and your passion came to come up with that idea, and connect with people you're solving that problem with. And as long as you kind of keep diving into that, you're probably going to come up with a way better idea. You're going to have a customer, and you're going to have something that you're passionate about and solves their problem. And I think that's kind of, it's a grind and a journey. Like you said, there's going to, they like to use the concept MVP, or ugly babies, because, you want to get feedback on your idea. You want to make sure that you're developing the right thing, and you get that advice. And it's hard to get the bad advice, but the bad advice is so much better than, oh, that's a really cool idea. Unless they tell you why it's a cool idea, you can't circle it. But people are really strong and opinionated why they won't like your idea. Focus on your dream and your vision, carry it through, and you never know where you'll end up.
Cool. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it. If someone listening wants to learn more about what you're working on and what you're doing, how would they find you? How would they get in touch with you?
LinkedIn, Instagram, or I have a website that talks about the hubs and Ledbetter Innovative Technologies, and my contact info is there.
Okay, what's that link?
The hub. It's a long link. Can I post it to you to share with the audience?
You send it to us. We'll get it into the show notes.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Nicholas. Appreciate it, as always. And of course, thank you, my loyal listeners, for tuning in every week. Without you, there is no show. And don't forget, if you did miss any part of today's show, you can always catch the replay on talkradio.nyc and all over the major podcasting platforms: Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find the Conscious Consultant Hour. Thank you all so much. Next week, I got a really amazing guest next week. Make sure you catch my show next week. Chris Bache is coming on, and you're going to want to listen to what he has to say. So thank you all for tuning in. Take care. We will talk to you all next week.
Thank you, Sam.